In the instant case, the applicant is not in a gazetted detention center but his own home. The evidence here clearly shows that the applicant has been confined in his house since the 14th January 2021. The respondents state that the restrictions are not custody but are to give the first applicant necessary protection. By their own admission, the respondents concede that the applicant's movements have been restrained by confining him in his home. Does that amount to restricting his liberty? Liberty is defined by the Black's Law Dictionary 8th edition as freedom from arbitrary or undue external restraint, especially by a government. Without dwelling on this legal definition, a lack of unrestrained movement or freedom to choose would fit a definition of lack of liberty. Considering the above, I find that the respondents have indeed had the personal liberty of the applicant curtailed. This court has the mandate under Section 34 of the Judicature Act to review or inquire into the legality of his continued confinement to his home as it amounts to deprivation of personal liberty. This court is therefore acting well within the mandate to make the inquiry which answers the preliminary point of law set up at the beginning. The justification given by the respondent is that because of security threats that have been detected by security, the applicant's movement outside his home have been met with preventive action to protect life and property. That this action is premised on Section 24 of the Police Act Cap 303, which provides as follows. A police officer who has reasonable cause to believe that the arrest and detention of a person is necessary to prevent that person from causing physical injury to himself or herself or any other person. B, from suffering physical injury. C, from causing loss or damage to property. D, from committing an offense against public decency in public place. E, from causing unlawful obstruction on a highway. And F, from inflicting harm or undue suffering to a child or other vulnerable person. Then the police may arrest and detain that person. The provisions of Section 24 as stated here envisage the action of a police officer arresting a person whom the police officer believes is about to commit any of the acts listed in the section. Under Section 14 of the Criminal Procedure Code Act, a police officer who makes any kind of arrest must, without unnecessary delay, take the arrested person either before a magistrate or an officer in charge of a police station. Under Section 25(1) of the Police Act, the police officer who arrests any person without warrant shall produce that person before a magistrate within 48 hours. It cannot properly be said that Section 24 would apply here as stated by the respondent in their submissions. Firstly, the third respondent states that the applicant is not under arrest. Secondly, if he was, then he would have immediately been dispatched to a police station or produced before a magistrate as required by law. It is therefore true that if indeed this was a preventive arrest, the applicant would have been formally arrested and detained at a police station or produced before a magistrate. The more pertinent questions are the allegation that the National Unity Platform is training members to sustain riots and insurrection, and that the applicant has in the past incited riots and have led to unnecessarily make Uganda ungovernable like Libya, Iraq, Sudan, that he disregarded the COVID restrictions, that he flouted the conditions set for his bail. The third respondent stated that the first applicant's movements outside of his home have been met with preventive action by the Uganda police within the aim of neutralizing the security threats. The respondent submitted that the actions of the applicant are intended to destabilize the peace in the country, that the respondents are charged with ensuring public safety and general right to life of Ugandans, that under Article 47 of the Constitution, in the enjoyment of rights and freedoms, no person shall prejudice the fundamental rights of others or the public interest. Mr. Medard Segona for the applicant submitted these allegations constitute suspicion of crime which should be handled according to the due process of law, that they cannot form the justification for holding the applicant incommunicado. This court agrees that it is true these are all serious allegations of grave offenses. In the circumstances, since the third respondent states that it has the evidence, it would be proper to follow the due process of the law with regard with all the allegations made against the applicant. The options are to produce the applicant in court to face trial or to lift the restrictions. Due process has been defined as the conduct of legal proceedings according to established rules and principles for the protection and enforcement of private rights, including a notice and the right to a fair hearing before tribunal with power to decide the case. This is in accordance with Black's Law Dictionary 8th edition. Article 23, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda stipulates that no person shall be deprived of personal liberty except in any of the following cases which are listed, and in subclause C, for the purposes of bringing that person before court in execution of the order of a court or upon reasonable suspicion that the person has committed or is about to commit a criminal offense under the laws of Uganda, and under subclause B, for the purpose of preventing the spread of an infectious or contagious disease. Article 23, Clause 2 stipulates a person arrested, restricted or detained shall be kept in a place authorized by the law, and under Clause 4 it is stated the person arrested or detained upon a reasonable suspicion of his or her having committed or being about to commit a criminal offense under the laws of Uganda shall, if not earlier released, be brought to court as soon as possible, but in any case not later than 48 hours from the time of his or her arrest. And Clause 5 provides that any person restricted or detained, the next kin of lawyer, personal doctor, or that person shall be allowed to have reasonable access to that person, and other subclause C, that a person shall be allowed access to medical treatment, including at the request and at the cost of that person access private medical treatment. Under Clause 9, the right to order of habeas corpus shall be inviolable and shall not be suspended. As the applicant has been held from the 14th of January on the allegation stated in the IAIGP Edward Ochom's affidavit, then the specific fundamental right in Article 23 of the Constitution reproduced above would apply with full force in this case. This way, the public interest, including the greater well-being society, is properly balanced against the individual rights of the applicant. If indeed he is a danger to society, the due process of the law must be allowed to take course. Having considered all the circumstances of this case, it is my finding that the continued indefinite restriction and confinement of the applicant to his home is unlawful. In the result, it has been established that his right to personal liberty has been infringed. The first issue is therefore answered in the affirmative. On the second issue of whether the applicant is entitled to the remedies sought, the applicant had prayed for a writ of habeas corpus. This court will proceed under Section 34 of the Judicature Act as cited above, and Rule 6 of the Judicature Habeas Corpus Rules, which stipulates, without prejudice to Rule 4.1 of the rules, the court hearing the application of a writ of habeas corpus may, in its discretion, order that the person restrained be released, and that order shall be sufficient warrant to the officer in charge of a prison, police station, public officer, or any other person for the release of the person under restraint. Having found, as I do, that the restrictions imposed on the applicant are unlawful, it is hereby ordered that they are lifted. Consequently, an order for restoration of the personal liberty of the applicant is hereby issued. Secondly, the respondent made a prayer for the applicant to comply with the standard operating procedures with regard to COVID-19. This court takes judicial notice of the violent nature of COVID-19 and the above public health necessity to comply with the SOPs. It is therefore hereby ordered that the applicant shall comply with the SOPs set by the authorities. The applicant is accordingly granted costs of this application. I turn out the substantive application. It would be practical to deal first with the case of the second applicant. As filed, the application and the affidavit in support state that both applicants are restricted. It is the position of the respondent, as averred in AIGP Edward Ochom's affidavit in reply, that the movements of the second applicant, one Barbara Kyagulanyi Itungo, and the other members of her household have not been restricted in any way. It was also submitted by counsel for the respondents, Mr. Martin Mwangisya, that the second applicant, Barbara Kyagulanyi Itungo, is not under any kind of restriction. The application states that Barbara Kyagulanyi Itungo, the second applicant, is indeed restricted and prays for appropriate orders. The respondents deny any such restriction. In view of the above, this court hereby issues an order for immediate restoration of Barbara Kyagulanyi's full personal liberty. Turning back to the application of the pertinent facts as this court discerns them, that the first applicant was a presidential candidate in the just concluded presidential elections. On the polling date, the 14th January 2021, the first and second applicants went to cast their vote and thereafter turned to their home in Magere, Kasangat Town Council. That evening, their homestead was surrounded by several soldiers and police officers. It was stated that during the campaign period, the first applicant has been arrested and charged with several offenses. A number of conditions were set before he was finally granted bail on 20th of November 2020. The first applicant flouted a number of these conditions. It was also suspected the applicant was planning to instigate and fund insurrection. The respondents have restricted the first applicant movements, confining him to his home. Additionally, lawyers who have tried to see or meet the applicant have had to seek the prior consent of officers of the respondents before they are granted access to the applicants. The respondents state that the applicant is not in custody, but the police is giving him the necessary protection. It is in these circumstances the applicants have commenced this application under Section 34 of the Judicature Act, which stipulates that the High Court may, at any time where the person is deprived of his or her personal liberty, other than in execution of a lawful sentence or order imposed on that person by a competent court upon a complaint being made to the High Court by or on behalf of that person, and if it appears by affidavit made in support of the complaint that there is a reasonable ground for the complaint, award under the seal of the court a writ of habeas corpus directed to the person in whose custody the person deprived of property is, and when the return is made, the judge before whom the writ is returned shall inquire into the truth of the facts set out in the affidavit, and may make any order as the justice of the case requires. And that is the ruling by Justice Elubu Michael of this court.